What's going on, my beautiful people? Welcome on into yet another edition of the Mafia Huddle, hosted by yours truly. I'm Carl Jones. Today, Josh Allen is entering year 9 of his career with the Buffalo Bills, so I thought it was only right to put together the best 22 players that he has played with here in Buffalo. And I'm not going to do it by myself, though. I'm going to do it with someone that I trust a lot with this project. He's a graduate from the Syracuse University. Go Orange. He is the co-host of the Jeremy and Joe Show on WGR 550. Also, co-host of the Bill Squad on the Locked On Bills Network. None other than Mr. Jeremy White. Jeremy, how are we doing today, big dog?
We're good. We're good.
I will just say this. This is the first time this is an all orange show, so I just want to take a second to embrace this moment. I'm usually outnumbered or no one really wants to hear what I have to say about my beautiful alma mater, so thank you so much for showing up.
I mean, once we get one all orange shows, they're all going to be that. I mean, how could we go back after this? You know, it's all Syracuse all the time.
Listen, you tell that to my bosses up in Nexstar about making everything all Syracuse, and I'm all for it. Before we get to ranking the all Josh Allen era Bills team, some news just came down about Josh Allen being ranked by NFL executives, coaches, and scouts for the first time in his career with this poll that is done by ESPN, Jeremy Fowler, the best quarterback in football ahead of the likes of Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. Your initial thoughts when you finally saw the number 1 next to Josh Allen's name?
I was glad because now it feels like once executives and scouts and personnel people say it, then it sounds less crazy if you say it. Not that we ever thought it was crazy, right? But I like to look at it like how do the world golf rankings work? How do the tennis rankings work? It's who's the best player right now. And football is, of course, like crazy obsessed with rings, the same way that the LeBron Jordan debate, every NBA conversation ends about rings. Like, yeah, Patrick Mahomes has rings over Josh Allen. No one would dispute that. There's not even really a way to argue that. But who's the best quarterback right now? I mean, watch the last 3 years. I don't think it's particularly close. So Mahomes is still great. Maybe his supporting cast comes and helps him a little bit more. But, you know, I feel like Allen has been the best quarterback for going on 2 to 3 years now. And finally, the outsiders agree. Last year he finished number 2 behind Lamar for the players, top 100. You know, it's ranking season, and I feel like this is justified. I don't even think it's a hot take, and NFL front office people kind of give us the breathing room here to say, like, see, they think so too. They know what they're talking about.
My biggest gripe with this whole Josh Allen doesn't deserve to be number 1 ranking is I lived through the whole Brady and Manning era where there were years where it was clear as day that Peyton Manning was the better quarterback on play. And I know that sounds crazy to say now, like looking back on it, like, oh, Tom Brady is the GOAT, best ever touch pigskin. I get it. But there were years where Peyton Manning, it wasn't a debate, he was the best quarterback on planet Earth. There were years, I believe it was 2011, where Aaron Rodgers lit the earth on fire with how phenomenal he played. How about Drew Brees, what he did in New Orleans, I believe in 2008 or 9 or whatever the case may be. There were years where other quarterbacks took the mantle. It is okay to say, historically, Brady dominated that era. Historically, we look back on this may be the Patrick Mahomes era. But there were still years where other quarterbacks were on the throne, the top, looking down at everyone else. I don't think that's crazy to say because every time you bring up maybe Lamar is here or maybe Josh is here, whoa, Pat has the rings. Were you guys saying Tom Brady was the best quarterback from 2001 to 2020? You guys were not saying that. That's just my biggest gripe with the whole discussion.
Yeah. Well, the reason we have yearly awards is so we don't forget what happened in the year, and what happens matters. How many times was Tom Brady first team All-Pro? The answer is 2. How many was Peyton Manning? 7. You know, it's more than triple first team All-Pros. Sure, he didn't end raising the Lombardi Trophy every single year, but at the end of those years, 7 times the voters said, well, that guy was the best quarterback this year. So I think it's not only, you know, important, but it's probably the better way to do it. We are, as a sports society, so obsessed with winning, and I get it, like I am too. But I don't think it's crazy to say the guy that won the most doesn't have to have been the best. He, of course, had the greatest moments, the biggest moments. But, yeah, if you're looking all-time number 1, I think Peyton Manning has as much acclaim to that as Tom Brady does.
The whole debate versus great versus best, that's going to drive us all crazy until the end of time. Let's get to the exercise now where I didn't give Jeremy any parameters, any saying, hey, you got to stick with this logic. I just said we're going to build the best team of the Josh Allen era, which dates back to 2018, Josh's first year here in Buffalo. Quarterback is obvious, unless you think Mitchell Trubisky shined
Best
in one
backup.
preseason game.
How about best backup?
Though?
Matt
Okay.
Barkley had a game against the Jets. So we're not doing backups, not doing at least one teammate in the room, in the quarterback room with him.
Let's give him a friend. Who you want to be Josh Allen's
I mean,
friend?
Barkley had the best results on the field. Trubisky had a pretty good day against the Dolphins. I don't know. Who's the week 17 or week 18 MVP? Like whoever that is the best backup.
Whoever Josh wants to be his best friend and best golfing buddy will be on that team with him. Down to running backs. This is going to be your show. I'm Jalen Brunson, passing you to Rock, you OG Ananobi. Right. Running back. Who is Josh's running mate in the backfield with him?
It's hard not to say James Cook, right? It's hard not to say James Cook. But LeSean McCoy, honorable mention. I mean, McCoy had a lot of really good years in the league. If we're doing it where it's you can pick the player at their prime, I kind of get like Eagles McCoy with the Bills, even though he was pretty close to his prime when he was with the Bills. So I think it's a tough one. McCoy was great, and I think could do a lot of the things that James Cook does behind this offensive line. But I feel like that's bad vibes. I don't want to go back. They have the leading rusher in the league right now. I'll stick with it. James Cook stays as the number one back on this team, the best back that Josh Allen's ever played with.
I want to say shout out to our dog, Dan Holland, in the back. Beautiful graphics for those who are watching on WIVB Plus or also on the CW. Appreciate Dan Holland. If you guys are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I advise you to see the video side of things. Jeremy looks great, and I think I'm looking at least half as good as he is. Over to the wide receiver position, and this honestly was going to have the most fun with this, not just because you love talking about wide receivers every single day on the Jeremy and Joe show.
Seems to come up. Seems to come up,
right? But
people keep asking me.
But I do think for this discussion, I think it holds weight. So we're going to go 11 personnel here, which means 3 wide receivers are going to make this team.
Yeah, first off, that's if we're doing the best Josh Allen team, I'm playing in 11 personnel. That's what I want to do. We're not going 13 like the league goes these days with 3 tight ends. Give me 11 personnel. That's the first good decision.
Okay, so here we go.
From there,
non-negotiable Stefon Diggs, you get the ball from here, go to work.
Without a doubt. Not negotiable, not one to sit here and rewrite history that he wasn't that good or that important or that, integral to Josh's growth and success. An all-time Bill who is arguably one of the top 3 receivers they've ever had with the franchise. Slam dunk, chisel it in stone, and the rest are, we're writing down with pen. Yeah, Diggs is number 1. He's on the outside. The other receiver, from there, all right, we're getting a slot receiver. I guess Cole Beasley has to be on the team. Beasley was a great slot receiver. I know Khalil Shakir is good right now, and Khalil Shakir might be better. In terms of a fit, man, like, I was looking at some numbers on Shakir, and it's almost like, I don't want to say the Bills are doing him a disservice. They're putting him in position to make plays. But the depth of target thing for Shakir is real. How far down that's come. A couple of weeks ago, I looked at Cole Beasley's depth of target, and he was at like the 8 and 9 yard range, like down the field, even though he's a slot receiver. And here's Shakir coming in at 3 yards per target, average depth of target. So I know Shakir might not be that limited, but the Bills kind of treat him as if he is. Hopefully that changes this year. With that, I go Beasley over Shakir on the slot. And then the outside, this one's kind of fun. If it's anybody at their prime, I'm at Amari Cooper, I think. But that doesn't feel right because it didn't work well here. I want to go to Gabe Davis because it worked well. Does DJ Moore have enough in the tank to be that guy? It's probably more. But I don't think it's a slam dunk, Carl. Who's the right receiver profile to round out? I mean, Emmanuel Sanders in his prime. I've reached my answer. That's what I want. That's what I want. I love Emmanuel Sanders. He's the guy. If I could get that 1, 2, 3, and by the way, the Bills had that 1, 2, 3. Like that's the 1, 2, 3, right? Does DJ Moore crack that 3?
I think it depends on who you ask. If we're going in the spirit of the exercise and what these guys are going to be with Josh Allen, and once again, I did not give Jeremy any parameters on this.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some people who believe the guy who didn't crack 700 yards last year, that's who he is at this point in his career in DJ Moore. And then there are others who are say, well, this is by far the best quarterback he has ever had. Of course, he's going to get back to 1,000+ yards every single year. I don't know, but I think I have to go with what I've seen. And I saw Emmanuel Sanders as the number 3 in 2020. Lord have mercy. I was still in college at that time, and I was like, woo, them boys is basketball on grass. I love to see it.
I mean, I might be guilty of when you're growing up, the first team you fall in love with, and it wasn't like the first Bills team I fell in love with, but that was the Bills team that probably brought a lot of people to thinking this is life now. This is how we live. Like you said, basketball and grass, greatest show on earth, like winging it around the field, 11 personnel, all these passing plays all the time. They threw it down the field all the time. It was intoxicating. So I kind of still would romanticize that. I think Moore, of course, has a good chance to be even the second best receiver that Allen has played with, but he does have a lot to prove. He does have a lot to prove here. And, as much tread on the tire as there is, I feel like his game can age well. He's always been fun to watch. He to me, he plays like a bully, right? He plays like a big, strong outside guy. Maybe not the best separator, but he can get the job done. So I have high hopes for Moore. At the same time, I have somewhat tempered expectations. I do not expect what I did when Diggs came in. When Diggs came in, I was over the moon expecting this to pop off big time. So he has a chance to get on this team, and this all Josh Allen team. I'll put him in. I'll put him in reserve for now.
Now to the position that might be top 3 today in football with their room as it's currently constructed. And I think the debate for this exercise falls down to 2 players, Dalton Kincaid versus Dawson Knox. Where do you land with this?
Well, you said we're rolling in 11 personnel for the purposes of this conversation. It's got to be Dawson Knox. And I don't know. I mean, do I sound like an idiot for saying that all the best players that Allen played with were all together kind of at once 3 years ago, and that's still the best grouping they've ever had? Like, I don't feel great saying that. They've had other, really good players, but the best he had all at once. So I always thought Dawson Knox was pretty good and a pretty good pass catcher. And when the Bills drafted Kincaid, it was this idea. They were a little ahead of the curve, or maybe right at when everybody started to do it. And now everybody's in this boat drafting players like this. And now the pendulum's kind of swung back the other way to the blocking tight ends being important. So it's tough, when you spend years and years and years wanting the Bills to get a receiver, and their answer was Kincaid, and his availability has been suspect. A lot of these lists, a lot of these top players in the league, whoever's list, this and that, NFL executives, availability is a big part of it. And for Kincaid, the number of years we've said if he's healthy, it's been pretty much every year. So in terms of the best tight end that Allen's played with, I've got Dawson Knox.
I'm with you on this one, especially if we're doing 11 personnel. I need someone on the perimeter to block. I know Beasley ain't doing it, Diggs not doing it, and DJ Moore, Sanders, they not doing it either. So give me at least someone in my skill position players that want to block, making Dawson Knox. Up to the big uglies up front, and you just talked about 5-6 years ago was the most of where those players came from. The O-line is a little bit different with the players as they're constructed today. Give me your 5 across the board for the Bills' offensive line.
Is the Bills' best offensive line of the Josh Allen era from left to right not the entire line they had last year? Left to right, Dawkins, David Edwards.
The debate is Mitch versus McGovern.
Fair, yeah. Which is maybe a coin toss for me. I don't know offensive line enough to say the difference between the two. You could swap Mitch Morse right in there for Connor McGovern, but this team treated left and right guard for a while like a very interchangeable position, and they'd throw a guy in there for a year, John Feliciano or Quentin Spain. Is that too far back? I might be mixing my guards. Who knows? He's on there. Okay. It used to just be the position that, like, all right, somebody will do it. And then, they added Connor McGovern and rocked him in that spot for a little while and drafted Osiris Torrance. And he pretty much from day one has been the starter. So I think the line as constructed last year is it. And that means they return 4 out of the 5 for this year. So the good news is, where there might have been not enough turnover to try and find better options in the passing game, the line, you can not a lot to complain about with the way that they built it.
No, not at all. And I do remember the basketball on grass years, 2021 to 13-second years. That was one of the gripes was, hey, man, the running game, they're too finesse up front. I remember that criticism very vividly. That's not the case no more. These guys are maulers. That Pittsburgh Steelers game and then the Cowboys game in Orchard Park a few years back, listen, I'm a DB, so I love my finesse football. I love seeing the Bills O-line go to work. Let's go over to the defensive side of the ball, the sexier side of the ball that I would add. Let's get to the edge room. I had some troubles with this. Or just honestly, the entire D-line. Where did you come down on the Bills' edge room?
Well, there's as they were at their best, and then there's as they were as Bills. I mean, Von Miller, obviously, Hall of Famer, and the first 8 games of his career with the Bills, he gave the Bills as many sacks as nearly any Bill in the Josh Allen era has at defensive end, right? 8 sacks in 8 games. And this team does not find double-digit sack guys all that often. Leonard Floyd, right? He was a sack mercenary for them for a short term there. Rousseau has been really good. At edge, it's been a search. It's been a nonstop search. I've kind of got in my notes eventually to, on the show on WGR, start referring to this part of the Josh Allen era. You know, in Earth's history, I'm going to go deep here. You've got the eras, and then there are little sub-eras within it. This is the search for the defensive end era inside of the Josh Allen era. We're in it every single offseason. Like, oh, here comes TJ Parker. Here comes this guy. Here comes the next guy. Here comes Bradley Chubb. Is Bradley Chubb the second best edge rusher that Josh Allen's played with, and they haven't played a game yet? Maybe, right? They're Trent. Do I want Trent Murphy? Do I want Mario Addison? AJ Epenesa? Up and down the list. Like, it's not that easy to find the best he's played with. I'd go Von Miller and probably Rousseau or Floyd or Jerry Hughes. Jerry Hughes is really good. I like him too. So you don't get a lot of great options. And I feel like at defensive tackle, it might be even tougher, right? It's Ed. And then spin the wheel. Is there an obvious second one here? Star Latulele. Daquan Jones. Jordan Phillips had a 9.5 sack season and was pretty good. They've been suspect against the run for a while, almost a little bit by design. So if I'm building the all-time front 4 for the Bills, I mean, how many teams already have a better one than that Josh has had in his, right? So I'm not trying to come across like a hater, but I think if you're trying to build the Bills' best front 4 of the Josh Allen era, it leaves something to be desired.
I said you probably put Rousseau by default, Ed, and then spin the wheel on the other 2 spots just because there's just so much gray area. Is 8 games of Von that much better than everyone else? Yeah, it's tough, and it's by far the biggest black hole when you do this exercise. The back 7 for the rest of this exercise, and I thought this was easy, but then there were a couple one spot in particular that was fairly difficult to decipher. Let's start with linebackers. I think Matt Milano is locked into one linebacker spot. We're going with nickel, by the way, for those who don't know. 4 down linemen, 2 backers, and then 5 defensive backs. So then the debate comes down to Tremaine Edmonds versus Terrell Bernard. How did you decipher that?
I went with, I mean, it's like a coin toss. I could go either way. I guess I would go with Bernard. It depends. I like to say a lot, the run game has never ended their season. You know, Tremaine's in there to try to stop the run, but sometimes got beat on big plays. He was also really good in the pass game because he was so rangy. But Bernard, I felt like you get more splash plays, and I know that this defense has wanted and needed splash plays. So with Bernard and Milano together, feels like we didn't see nearly as much of that as we could have over the years. They both battled so many injuries. So I go Milano and Bernard over Tremaine Edmonds.
Is it fair to say the highs of Bernard are obviously much better, but the lows because of the injuries and then also playing through the injuries are scarier than what Tremaine offered?
That's probably right. I would probably check myself and say the league thought Edmonds was much better and much more worth paying huge money. And Bernard, you know, he signed a deal with the Bills and it was just kind of modest money. So fitting into your scheme matters quite a bit. So I think it's possible that the league thinks Edmonds is a lot better. And for the Bills, Bernard was the fit.
Well, Tremaine Edmonds was also 19 years old when he hit free agency, if you don't remember. So that's probably why he got paid so much money. And then going to the DBs, I think this one should be fairly easy. Obviously, the safeties are Micah,
pretty easy,
Boyer, Trey, and Benford, and then Taryn in the slot. But one player I do want to mention to wrap up this exercise, how much will Cole Bishop have to do to supplant either Micah or Poe?
A lot, right? A lot. But that said, Poyer and Hyde were often thought of as the pair and force multipliers. The two of them together, the way they worked together was really important. And we saw Poyer with Bishop, and that worked pretty well too, even though Poyer's near the end. So I have a lot of high hopes for Bishop. I'm eager to see him continue to grow, especially in this new defense with Jim Leonard going forward. But he'd have to probably do a lot. That said, I do think he's capable of getting there and ultimately being one of the better safeties that Josh Allen has ever played with.
So we have created the all Josh Allen era team, 22 starters. Real quick before we get on up out of here, what was your biggest takeaway when doing this exercise?
Well, it's that the defense, the offense, a lot of the best players they had were here all together about 4 years ago. Look at all those players we just mentioned on defense. They were here when a lot of those players on offense were here. And the holes on this team, for the majority of it, have been minimal, right? Whether it's the longevity of keeping that back four together. Defensively, it was always Trey White and Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, and there was a fourth interchangeable piece until Benford came along. So it feels like a team that's been good for a long time, and the missing piece seems to move around a little bit depending on what you think that missing piece is. And that's where, we get into our endless offseason conversations about positional value and what should they go get. And the answer is always the things that matter most. Don't chase your hole. Go get what matters the most and figure it out from there. So I thought they had the right formula for a long time, and maybe let it drift a little bit.
I'll just end it with this. They're all pros during this era. James Cook, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, Stefon Diggs, Matt Milano, and Taron Johnson. The only person still on that team right now is James Cook. I think that leaves a lot to be desired when you talk about the Josh Allen era in 2026, year 9 going forward. Jeremy, thank you so much for hopping on the Mafia Huddle today. Real quick, tell the good people where they can find you.
I'm on WGR every morning from 6 to 10 with Jody Biasi, my co-host, and we're also on Bill's Squad with Jerry Ostrowski and Joe Marino, part of the Locked On Bills show, which we have a good time with, and I know you've been great enough to come on with us. We got to get you on GR again soon. I'm going to call you right when we're done. I'm going to get you booked for some time this week as we get ready for training camp, because excited to get to this season, excited to get to the new stadium. Going to be a fun year.
For sure. I'll hold you to that one, my big dog,
right,
Jeremy. I appreciate you for stopping by today. And my good people, thank you for watching the Mafia Huddle. Remember, you can tell your sister, your mother, your brother, maybe your sister, auntie too, about the things that we're doing here on the Mafia Huddle. Thanks, my dog, Dan Holland, and Mike Courtney in the back for putting this together. Thank you guys for listening and watching, and I'll see you next time.